Hey there, good evening, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I'm the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So it's our Friday night live experience show tonight, and I've chosen a band that I've grown to like quite a bit over the last year. A live concert for them today, a small venue. Basically, it's a television show in Germany called the Rockpalast. They had maybe, I'm going to guess it was less than 300 or 400 people in the crowd. That's my guess. But a really good concert. So we're talking tonight about Nektar live. Nektar is, for those of you who do not know, Nektar is a progressive rock band from basically Scotland that became big in Germany and had their label in Germany and kind of were thought of as a German band, but really they're a Scottish band. So this concert is live from the Rockpalast TV show, 2005 concert. Okay, there's basically, they do 13 tracks here, opening up with a couple of fairly long ones, like maybe about a third of the show anyways, on the first two songs, which are Remember the Future Part 1 and Remember the Future Part 2. In Part 1, there's some pretty solid keys in this particular song. Oh, before we get started, I should tell you who's playing in the band. So Nektar is featuring, of course, Roy Albrighton on lead vocals and lead guitar, and actually all guitars. And then Ron Howden, of course, the drummer. He's an original as well. Drums and percussion. Tom Hughes is the keyboardist. And Randy Dembo is the bass player. Okay, so it was it's like I said, basically it's a German venue television show that puts on concerts. And so anyways, so they start out with Back to the Future Part 1. Some keys, some good keys on this. A pretty heavy number overall. It's got some interesting harmonic guitar parts that Roy Albrighton does just before he goes into his solo on this. So a really nice start, a fairly lengthy start too, which isn't unusual for Nektar. For those of you who don't know anything about Nektar, they're a fairly progressive band with some fairly good instrumentation on their albums as well. They tend to be, for me, basically they don't really sound like any of the big progressive bands that we've come to know. There's no Rush or Yes or Genesis or Pink Floyd or anybody, or even King Crimson, anything like that. There's none of that here. I don't hear that in their music. It's very progressive. Lots of really good guitar parts. The keyboards here are pretty good. I don't know if they're as good as the original keyboards, but he's pretty solid. And of course, Ron Howden is a very good drummer in my opinion. Bass player was pretty decent as well. Doing a little bit of bass strumming as well, I noticed during the concert. So on Back to the Future Part 2. Starts with a pretty heavy guitar part, and then he does some. I'm just reading my notes here. Yeah, he does. They kind of do this drop off and then build it back up, and then drop off and then build it back up again. That's what I was trying. I was trying to read how I wrote that. So, and he's pretty good, pretty masterful at that type of change of pace. At least I find Roy Albrighton very masterful at that particular type of thing. He has ability to make something really heavy and then just change pace. But it's not a abruptness. It doesn't sound like it's like a mistake or anything. It's just kind of a smooth transition. And I like that about his stuff. His voice is one of those voices that I like it. It's very different though. It doesn't really sound like. Maybe I hear a little bit of Fish here from a Marillion, but I don't think so. Like sometimes when I hear him singing, I think of Fish. Even though his voice doesn't really sound like Fish at all, he just has that same kind of range, I guess, is the best way to put it. Cast Your Fate is the next song. It's a mellow start, ends with a ripping guitar solo here, and the keys and the drums are also riffing right at the end as well. Really solid song. Then you got, of course, two of my favorite songs. They combine them here: "Crying in the Dark" and "King of Twilight." Really heavy stuff. Some of their best music from Tab of the Ocean. Just a fantastic pair, and they combine them here. I enjoyed it quite a bit. The next one is Peach and Squeeze My. I don't even know what I tried to write there. Can't even read it. But anyways, the next song is Preach, which is really pretty solid too. Then they get into their most probably, I don't know if it's their most famous song, but it's certainly one of their biggest ones. It put them on the map here, kind of, in North America. Before that, they were kind of thought of as a German band, even though they're not from Germany. Mostly because their record label was in Germany and they got big in Germany, so a lot of people thought they were kind of a German band, but they're actually not. They're a Scottish band. He does this kind of weird slide scream Brighton with his guitar. Like I don't know how to say it. It's this kind of slidey noise that he makes with his guitar. It's really different. You've got to kind of listen for it. And once you hear it, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. And then there's a part of course, there's a part in the Recycle where there's a little bit of a, I don't know, it's kind of like an epilogue thing where somebody's describing what's happening. The closest I can come, if you haven't heard this before, is if you listen to Rush's 2112 at the end, he does this kind of narration about what's happening at the end. It's kind of like that, but not as dramatic as it is in 2112. Good Day is the next one, which ends with a great guitar solo, and the guitar solo slides right into Fidgety Queen, which is heavy and continues with this kind of heavy riffing and kind of a mean guitar solo, like really ripping guitar solo here. Then he goes, then they do Do You Believe in Magic, with the G at the end. Albright and Swifter, at this point in the concert, he goes from, this is the 9th song, so the last 5 songs he switches to his acoustic guitar. This has 2 effects, in my opinion. It shows off his guitar ability a little better, as far as his picking and his chording and all that, because he's kind of a noisy, I don't know how you would say it, kind of a noisy, rifty type guitar player on the electric. And here you can hear more of his picking and stuff. The other thing that it does is it allows you to hear more of Ron Howden's drumming, which is, I think, very good. I don't know that he's a like a top drummer in the world, but he's definitely a very good drummer. Then they do the song Telephone, which is again a little bit softer of a song, also played with the acoustic guitar. It's kind of a more mellow song. The 11th song is Always, more acoustic, but sorry, concert put me to sleep. Too much energy, heavy drums, lots of heavy drums on Always. And then they do, surprised me because I didn't know that they were going to do this, as I didn't watch the video more than once. I've watched it, I've seen bits and pieces of it before when I was looking around trying to decide what live thing to present any particular show. A couple times I was thinking about this, doing a Nektar one, and I looked at a couple, but there's a couple I looked at and they're a little bit dark. Or with this one, it's much clearer. The production's really good. You can hear everything fine. The crowd is small, so you don't hear any of that kind of screeching and that. It's just more like clapping and stuff. But they break into a song. I didn't go this all the way through the first few times I looked at it. I didn't realize that they did Norwegian Wood from the Beatles, which I think he does pretty good. His voice doesn't really sound like any of the Beatles, so it's quite a different thing. He does a really pounding acoustic guitar bit here as well, and it ends with Tom Hughes, or Thomas Hughes if you prefer, doing the keyboard solo. Pretty decent. Okay, and then the final track of the night is Good Day, and he switches early on to speaking German. He does a pretty good job of it too, like his German is pretty solid. And then he ends with an acoustic guitar solo, which I think was very tastefully done at the end. So, I think this is a good concert. If you are somebody who's a budding Nektar fan, or somebody who's discovered this band recently like I have, or perhaps you're somebody who loves this band, has followed them their whole career and has all their albums and everything, I think there's enough here for everybody to enjoy. Roy Brighton's at his best here, I think. Howden's very good as well. I thought the bass player did a great job. The keyboardist is predominant in this thing. I don't know if he's as good as their other keyboardists, but he's pretty solid keyboardist. Anyway, so you have there you have it, live from the Rockpalast TV show or concert in 2005 from Germany, Nektar. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I enjoyed watching the video myself. There's a lot of stuff here to see. It's my real first time through watching an entire Nektar concert, and the ones I checked out, I thought this one was the best one. Gives you kind of an overview of their music, and at the same time you get to hear it pretty clearly, like it's a pretty clear concert, and I think it's a great venue for them. So if you like this, please like and subscribe. We'll be doing next week a couple things. First I wanted to mention. First, I did do my hauls for tomorrow. It will come out tomorrow. I don't know how I ended up doing this, but I think I figured it out. When I did my hauls for last month, I did my Robert Palmer album, which I got last month, and then I decided I was going to play it that night, but I didn't get to play it. I left it on the counter, and then I started piling my hauls for April on top of it, and forgotten that I had done that, and then I actually did the album again. So if you see it on the haul, this month's hauls, and you say, hey, he did that last month, that's what happened. Sometimes I've got the olds, and I'm not always the most organized person when it comes to that particular thing. However, I did catch it after I released the video. Because I had to go back to put another add-on video at the end, and I did last month's video as an add-on, and I seen right away that the Robert. But it is what it is. The album's pretty good. So if I'd listened to it like I was supposed to, it wouldn't have been in there, but I didn't. Okay, so that's one thing. So the other thing that's coming up next week will be, I think I'm going to do a Heart Week. So we'll be doing a look back for Heart on Monday, the album Little Queen. And then on Wednesday, unless I've done it already, and I'm not sure if I have, I don't think I have done a top 10 Heart videos, but if I did, then I'll figure something out. But it's my intent to do the top 10 Heart songs, my top 10 favorite Heart songs, unless I've already done it and just didn't remember doing it, and in which case something else will come in its place. And lastly, the live, the Friday night live experience will also feature Heart live. I haven't decided which concert yet, or I may do a live album. I'm not sure yet, but so I'm gonna give some love to Heart next week. And I know people are saying, "Oh yeah, the Wilson sisters." Yeah, well, I love the Wilson sisters too, Nancy and Ann. I mean, how could you not fall in love with Ann Wilson with a voice like that? But I also think that people don't give enough credit to the original guys in that band, the drummer and the guitarist and some of the other people that were in the band. Those songs that came out on Little Queen magazine, Dog and Butterfly, those are great songs. And I think when those guys left, they lost something. Yeah, they did release some other stuff, and they released a lot of really good stuff in the 80s, but it's not music I would listen to, but I know that it was very popular. So, I mean, I don't fault them for doing what they did. They wanted to try something different, and those guys and them didn't really get along, so, you know, it had to happen. But I still enjoy the guitar playing and the drumming on those albums, and I think the guys had a lot to do with that. So, but anyways, I'm not here to criticize, just to say that that's how I feel about it. And so next week we're going to be in love to Heart as the High Entire Band, including the Wilson sisters. So that's my plans for next week. So I hope you will enjoy this video and subscribe and like. And I hope you have a good night, a good Friday night. Enjoy the concert if you decide to go and watch it. And we will see you tomorrow morning for my series. Take care. Prog Monster out.